What is going on, everyone? Hello and welcome back here to another edition of Next Gen Jets. Appreciate you all tuning in here on this Saturday evening. Chris Grasso, Connor Long here with you guys. Next Gen Jets NY Flight Jets Talk YouTube channel. Can't thank you guys all enough for tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe. It's completely free and it helps us grow significantly. Super Chats memberships also go a long way. Every $2.99 Super Chat or gifted membership will get you a ticket into our membership raffle. So this every Super Chat or membership we get tonight, I will match that. So appreciate all your support as always here on the channel, and it really means a lot. If you have any questions for us, throw those in the chat. You can call into the show with the pinned comment. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's show, Chris, got to throw it to you. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, man. Excited to chop it up, talk some more Jets with you.
100%. So where I kind of want to start is this Derek Carr news. We heard from Jordan Schultz that the injury coming out of New Orleans with Derek Carr is there's a chance this guy might miss the entirety of the 2025 season, which is certainly troubling because you look at New Orleans hiring Kellen Moore as their head coach this offseason. Derek Carr kind of trying to rework his deal so he does not take that massive cap hit. Derek Carr, Chris, we know what he is at this point in his career. He's not a very, very good quarterback, but he is undoubtedly the best quarterback on their roster when you look at who's behind him. Spencer Rattler, a fifth-round pick last year. Do you really want to roll the dice on that as a starter? I'd assume that answer is a no for Kellen Moore. I think Ben DiNucci is even on that depth chart, and we all know the joke that Ben DiNucci is as a quarterback at the NFL level. So, Chris, I think the whole thought process here and my thought process as to why this affects the Jets is, well, the Giants, who were often linked to Shedeur Sanders before they went into free agency, signed Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson in free agency. That said, there's a chance they try to go with more of a skill position, not skill position because obviously the quarterback's the most important position in all the sports, but a weapon piece. Maybe you get maybe you had a defensive player, Abdul Carter, someone to look for. Maybe if they were looking to deal a Kayvon Thibodeau type guy. Travis Hunter's a name we often hear to the Giants. My whole thought process here is Shedeur Sanders is on the board at pick number 7, the Jets could potentially pick up a few extra picks to slide back just 2 spots in the order, and then boom, you recoup your additional draft capital, and you're still able to pick from the Armand Membu, Tyler Warren tier potentially. Chris, I think that would be a dream scenario for the Jets on draft night, especially if you could pick up a 3rd or a 4th round pick.
I think that's a great idea, man. I think the Saints might have been interested in trading up for Shedeur anyway without Carr getting hurt. But now, the quarterback is the most important position on the field. So, you're always looking for that franchise guy, and the Saints obviously have been looking for that. Carr's not gonna. I mean, he's not gonna cut it. It depends on the confidence they have in Rattler, but I'd assume that they would love to add Shedeur, and if the Jets can sell the idea that there's a chance they might take him, the Saints might be willing to trade up and give some assets. And we're not even going that far. We're not even getting ourselves out of the range of Membu or Warren. So I think that's a great scenario. But it all depends on how much confidence they have in Rattler.
I just don't see a world, Chris, where you roll into the season as Spencer Rattler as your starting quarterback, who was a 5th-round pick for your team just a year ago, especially with a young, innovative offensive coach who's just coming from a team that won the Lombardi Trophy. I just don't see a world where New Orleans rolls into the season with that look. So I certainly think a trade up for Shedeur is in play. Another team, Chris, that could be willing to trade up for a quarterback is the Steelers. We all know your boy Aaron Rodgers, the whole dilemma there. What's going to happen? Is he even going to play football next season? Is it going to be with the Steelers? They still seem to be waiting on a decision there. Jackson Dart had a top 30 visit with their team. They're sitting, I think, 21st overall in the draft order. So it would be a massive, massive slide down for the Jets if they were to trade back with Pittsburgh. And to put this into perspective, Pittsburgh does not have a 2nd-round pick this year, and they'd have to slide back that far. So I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here. Would you rather slide back to 21 in Pittsburgh, pick up next year's 1 and this year's 3rd, or slide back 2 spots with New Orleans and say you pick up a late 3rd round pick?
So the Steelers option is obviously interesting, right? Because if you're gonna chance that, then I see that this scenario is hard because if next year if you're anticipating going up for your franchise quarterback in the draft, and there's a guy like if you anticipate having to move up, having a 1 is obviously an extremely useful tool because you're going to trade up and get your guy, whether it be Garrett Nussmeier or if my boy Nico comes out. We obviously know the whole situation with him. But and or you can or if you're have confidence in Justin Fields and you view it as a necessity to build around him, you're gonna take the New Orleans deal because you're still picking high and have a better chance of getting a premium player. So what would I rather do? It's hard. I'd almost have to pick the Steelers option where
Sure.
we can get a first because then we can go into later to the first round. We can get a wide receiver too. Whereas if we stayed, we'd probably pick Warren or Membu. So if we went back and got the Steelers first and a third, we can get our wide receiver too. Whether that be whoever's there in the second round, or Golden Tate is a guy. Egbuka is a guy. I know he might be there in the second round, but if we go back, then we can take tight end in the second. Um, Offensive tackle in the third, and then we have another third round pick for defensive tackle. So in this scenario, I'd rather the Steelers option, but I'm extremely high on Tyler Warren. He's if we stay at 7, he's my dream pick. But if we're getting a first next year, that's extremely hard to pass up on.
The way I view it, Chris, is even if you don't want to trade up for a quarterback next year, and I completely agree with what you said there, I take the Steelers option all day in my eyes. Because let's say, again, the scenario that I know you think that there's a better chance of this happening than I do personally, of Justin Fields coming in, having a great year with this team. I see you rocking the Fields jersey. Obviously, we both hope that happens because we want to see this team win. We want to be able to watch the first playoff game in our entire lifetime and see a winning season of Gotham City Jets football. So we hope this Justin Fields experiment works out. So sliding back in the order, I'm being really honest. I don't think the drop off from Tyler Warren to Colston Loveland is that steep. Like I know how much we both really like Tyler Warren, you more than me on that type of player. I just don't think the drop off's that steep. And you trade back that far, you pick up a third round pick, which you could allocate towards a run stuffing defensive tackle. You add another guy who's going to come in and contribute for you right away. I think getting a fourth pick in the top 85 is going to be super, super important for this team to have a successful draft class. And I think you could do that with that deal. And kind of back to what I was saying, Fields doesn't work out. He goes up in flames. And, worst case scenario, obviously, you have to put Tyrod Taylor in for the last 5 weeks of the season. It's just an unmitigated disaster. Okay, you got the ammunition maybe to trade up for a quarterback. But let's say, again, the Fields experiment works well. Well, then you have 2 first-round picks, in which is already widely regarded as a super, super strong draft class, and you have 2 opportunities to land blue-chip talent. That's my thought process there, and I think that would be the best path overall to building around Justin Fields as a quarterback. And I think that's why I take that route. Chris, if you had to, what would you rank your options? If you had to give a top 3, for example, my top 3 options for the Jets with the 7th overall pick. Number 3 is you take Armand Membu. Number 2 is you take Tyler Warren, and number 1 is trade back for me. I think trade back's the best option for this team. What are your top 3 options for the Jets to go with the number 7 overall pick?
Depends on what you're getting in the trade back, I would say. But number 1 is staying at 7 and selecting Tyler Warren. 2 for me is trading back. But if you're getting a future first, that moves up to the first option. And third is taking Membu or selecting Tet McMillan is like 3A and 3B with um Membu and McMillan for me. So that's where I'm at. I obviously love Warren. I've been outspoken about it on this show, as you know, about all the things I say about Warren. But I think he really has a chance to become top 3 tight end in this league. So I you don't pass on guys like that, especially since we need premium pass catchers for Justin Fields to have a safety net. So that's where I'm at the top 3 scenarios right now.
My whole thing, Chris, is though, is if you get in a trade back, like to 21 with the Steelers, you can still probably get Colston Loveland with that pick. And I really just don't think the drop off's that steep from Tyler Warren to Colston Loveland. And you're telling me you could pick up another pick in the top 85, and then you're telling me I could pick up an additional first round pick. I just think any package that involves an additional first round pick, this team has to take.
I agree with you there 100%. But I'm not sure if you're going to get that. I mean, the Steelers are definitely going to get that if they feel like it's necessary to trade up for Shador Sanders. I mean, even if they get Rodgers, is what I ultimately think is going to happen. I think Rodgers will be with the Steelers. I think that's still useful to get Shador at that point. But if you get Rodgers, I think it's less, not as big of a need. So they might just stick and pick with Dart there. So if Rodgers goes there before the draft, I think the chance of them taking or trading up for Shador go down, and then they might just select Dart. So if Rodgers ends up retiring, say next week, I think the chance of them going up for Shador is a lot higher.
Appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you smash the like, hit subscribe. Chris Grasso, Connor Long, Saturday edition of Next Gen Jets. Throw all your questions in the chat. We'll get to those. Pin comment to Colin. Super chats, memberships, raffle. Remember, super chats and gifted memberships. I can't speak. We'll get you an entry into our membership raffle. Every membership you gift or super chat, I will match. Can't thank you enough for all your support. Keep the questions coming. We'll get to those. Call into the show with the pin comment. Chris, one quick thing here before we get into everyone's questions. I have an article about this for Jets X Factor that is coming out tomorrow morning, and it's kind of looking at analyzing the Jets' top 30 visits and a key trend I picked up on, and that was the fact that the Jets completed top 30 visits with two defensive linemen, Michael Williams and Derek Carr. Chris, I found that interesting because the trade back movement has been picking up steam recently, and those are two players that, well, the Jets would probably have to trade back for both of those players. They are viewed as end of the first round type guys in that 20 to 32-ish type range. So I want to get your thoughts here. I was writing about this for Jets X Factor, and the thought process I was thinking is, well, the Jets could either trade back from 7, get a haul to move back into the 20s and take that guy, or with the 42nd overall pick, which is kind of earlier in the second round, what they could do with that pick is they could trade back up into the first round. My question, I took that scenario all day. I'd much rather get a talent at number 7 overall and then trade up from 42. I see you nodding your head there, but kind of analyze why you'd rather trade up from the second round than trade down from the first.
Because we need premium talents and we need top talents at pass catcher and offense on the offensive side of the ball desperately. I think if you're trading way back into the first round, that kind of decreases the potential of the player. So the higher you pick. So if you stay, for example, at Warren, you're getting a lot better player and you're more sure of him than you would be picking a guy in the later round. Or if you're going to go defensive tackle in the late round, even picking an offensive weapon in the second. So overall, I think the priority in this draft is offense and players on the offensive side of the ball because you have two defensive-minded. You saw Aaron Glenn is a mainly defensive-minded coach, and Steve Wilkes has a lot of experience, and you have talent on defense. So defensive side is more sure on the offense, especially with a OC who's it's his first time calling plays. You want to give him as much tools as possible. Obviously, we have Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and a solid O line, and depending on what Fields is, what he shows. We know he has elite athleticism, so we want to get as much weapons as possible. I think Warren can come in here, be this team's basically number 2 or number 3 wide receiver, and finish in third in receiving yards for this team. So overall, my dream scenario is you get Warren and then you trade back into the first round, so you get as much premium starters as possible at positions of need. So that's where I'm at on why trading back and be better than moving back way back in the first round.
Thoughts on the Jets restructuring Allen Lazard, Chris? I wrote an article about this for JetX the other day, and I kind of detailed how not so fast when fans come into the conclusion he's going to be on the roster. I think this restructure deal, something I would prefer is, okay, boom, you get him on this restructure deal. Now he's far more movable on the trade block. I think the biggest thing for this Jets team, which Aaron Glenn has kind of solidified already, getting rid of the entire Aaron Rodgers experiment and starting fresh. That is the blueprint this team has followed. I think one step in the process of doing so is either releasing Allen Lazard with a post-June 1 designation or trading him and picking up some sort of draft capital that you can allocate towards a wide receiver. Because something I referenced in the article too is the Jets wide receiver room is thin no matter what. Looking at it, if you insert Allen Lazard in that wide receiver room or you take him out, it looks the exact same to me. He's not a very noticeable piece as we notice. He's going to drop a lot of passes. He's a fine blocker. You got that in Josh Reynolds, though. I am all for trading Lazard.
Yeah, we saw Glenn emphasize the fact that he's a blocker, which I've been saying this ever since the Jets season ended. We're going to be a run-first offense, and I think that's going to be key to our success. So, maybe if Rodgers does retire, but I think if Rodgers ends up going to the Steelers, boom, that's a done deal. We trade him right to the Steelers so they can give receivers Rodgers is comfortable with. But if Rodgers retires, you have a guy on an extremely cheap deal who's going to fit your scheme because if on run plays, we can just throw him out there. And he's obviously big frame. He's a solid blocker. And, he's not a great receiver. I know this is not popular with Jet fans because of how horrible his production has been. But we need bodies in this receiver room no matter what. It's always good to have players. And if he's not playing good in training camp, you can just cut him. But, it's good to have players who you God forbid, injuries. You can have him and just he's a little bit less than serviceable. But God forbid he needs to, he'll go in if there's injuries. So that's where I'm at on Allen Lazard. He'll probably be traded when we're to wherever Rodgers signs with. But I mean, he he does kind of fit, run first offense. He's a blocker, so that's where I'm at with that.
Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like. Chris and Connor here with you on Next Gen Jets. Throw all your questions in the chat. We'll get to those. Pin comments, call-ins, super chats, memberships, much appreciated. Those will be matched tonight. Our guy Jimmy Jets gets us started tonight with 5 gifted memberships. Jimmy, thank you so much for all of your support here on the show. If you hear your name called, thanks to Jimmy, BC, Rick Kent, Taylor Sterling, Philip Hannon, John. You were all gifted memberships. Appreciate your support as always. And then John follows that up with a gifted membership himself, and that went to Jerry Moore. 6 total raffle entries thus far. Appreciate all your support. As always, super chats, memberships, much appreciated on here. So make sure you do so if you can. And like I said, I'm matching those throughout the night. So we're about to drop 5 memberships here on the show. Boom, there's the 5, and then I'll drop another one once those are refreshed. So I appreciate all your support. As always, like I said, throw all your questions in the chat, call into the show with the pinned comment, and keep the super chats and memberships coming. They're much appreciated here on the show. Can't thank you guys enough for all of your support. As always, let's see, we'll start things off with Alan, who comes in. CL, I will be celebrating Passover tonight, enjoyed the give and take with Cole earlier on Nico. Please tell Grasso his Nico crush will be short-lived. Garrett in 2026.
Listen, the idea of Garrett Nussmeier to Garrett Wilson excites me. I love Nussmeier as a prospect. And listen, if the Fields experiment goes up in flames and we're we're going up for Nussmeier, I'm all in on that. I'm all in on Nussmeier. I love him. I'm just saying I really love Nico as a prospect, and I hope this transfer portal thing gives him a chance to shine, like we all know he's capable of.
Yeah, this is just someone who's super, super raw, and I need to see him build winning success before I go all in on him. I'm much leaning towards like a proven guy like Carson Beck is someone I really, really like in next year's class immediately. A guy like Cade Klubnik from Clemson is someone who intrigues me a ton. Nico hasn't shown me enough, Chris, where I'm all on him.
No, I 100% get that. There's things Nico certainly needs to develop, like his accuracy is a glaring thing. But we give him time. He's only 20. Again, this could be a guy who comes out in 2027's draft. So I'm just saying I love him as a prospect. I love the tools he has. Very clean throwing motion, so it's nice and smooth there. So we'll see what he becomes into. But in terms of next year's draft, I'm looking at guys like Aller and Nussmeier. Really like just great arms, great velocity. You have these guys who really are potential targets. I know you're higher on guys like Beck, but I like Allen here. I'm all in on Nussmeier, baby. So if Nico isn't there, Nussmeier is the guy for us.
I have to address this comment here from Jack, who says we don't need a diva in the locker room like Nico. This is college, not the league. You must attend practices and meetings.
Who are you to say that?
Okay. I gotta say this. There's 2 sides here. Good for Tennessee for moving on from this guy. If he's not showing up to practice, it's college. Head coach feels confident that they can win without him. I think what Tennessee did here is they viewed their ceiling and their floor with Nico and without Nico. And they evaluated, is this worth the $4.5 million we're going to have to pay this guy? I'm all for college football players being paid, though. Nico deserves to get paid his money, but at the same time, Tennessee still remains the right to move on from him, respectively, if they don't want to pay him the $4.5 million. I think it's a 2-sided thing. I wouldn't go as far as calling anyone a diva.
For sure, let me weigh in here. Obviously, we know Nico's decision was a whole family affair, and you can't blame it entirely on him. So some of it is his agent, wheeling and dealing for him. Just getting him the money he deserves, and because they know the player he's capable of being and what he's going to develop into. So maybe everything happens for a reason. Tennessee might have not been the place for him, so he's going to go somewhere else, light it up, prove that he can win, maybe get into the playoffs, win a playoff game or 2, show what he has, and he's going to come out and he's just going to be a great prospect, great quarterback. So I'm excited to see what Nico does. Maybe a change of scenery is what we needed for our guy.
Where were we in the chat here? I saw a comment from Joe. It says, take the Pittsburgh deal and target Simmons or Harmon at 21. Would you be open, Chris, to taking, like, for example, Derek Harmon, someone who visited with the Jets, interior defensive lineman, similar weight to Quinnen Williams? Like, that's the thing. I don't want someone who's going to be that similar size to Quinnen Williams. I don't want to use a first-round pick on it. And then Josh Simmons, someone who was viewed as widely regarded as the tackle number 1 before he suffered a gruesome injury this past college season. What I want to do if I trade back to 21 is Just trying to think I'm trying to think of, let me pull up my board here. I'm just trying to think of some guys who I think could really be in play for the Jets in the 20 range.
In the meanwhile, I'll weigh in. No, I think no matter where you go in the first round, pass catcher needs to be the pick. You need
That's
guys.
why I like Loveland. That's why I said Loveland earlier. Is
Whoever it is, whether it be Loveland or if you're moving that far into the back, I'd actually prefer you draft a wide receiver too, because I know it's a reach to take one of these wide receivers at 7, but if you're moving back into the first round, I want you to get your wide receiver 2, and this is obviously a deep tight end class, so you could wait to get to a guy like Mason Taylor at a in the second. If you wanted, then you could take your trenches guys with the 2 third-round picks you'd be getting from the Steelers in this scenario. So yeah, that's if wherever you are, pass catcher needs to be the pick first, and it must be at least, if not pass catcher, it must be offense. But it pretty much has to be pass catcher because you need to give Fields the tools.
ladies and gentlemen, Chris Gross's
So
Wi-Fi. Oh, is he there? Of course, I wait 10 seconds. And I was planning it, Chris. I was waiting 10 seconds when the Wi-Fi started bugging out. I'm like, perfect. Here's the opportunity to say, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Gross's Wi-Fi. And of course, the second I do it, it comes back on.
You not get me there? Did I lag out?
Yeah, you lagged out a little.
Oh, yeah. So, but I was just saying how pass catcher needs to be the play, no matter where you are in the first round.
This is my thing. You have to go offense no matter what, unless you're taking Mike Green. Unless you're taking Mike Green, it's offense for me. My 3 top guys at 21 would probably be in this order: 1, Colston Loveland; 2, Mike Green; 3, Jaden Higgins. Those are my 3 guys.
I don't care who it is. If it's not a pass catcher, or if it's not an offensive player or a pass catcher, it's a failure.
How?
It must be. That's our biggest.
How though? Why?
What do you mean why?
Why does it need to be a pass catcher?
Because that is the need that you need the best players at. You need to, in this draft, you need to come away with offensive tools and weapons so that you can give Fields the best chance to succeed, and you can give Tanner Engstrand some guys to make his scheme around. And if you can't just have Garrett Wilson, then the defenses are just
that needed one of the later rounds of the draft. Like, it doesn't have to be in the first round right away. You just picked up additional draft capital. I think the best overall value with those positions, quite frankly, come in the middle rounds. I would be all for taking a guy like Mike Green with this edge room for the Jets. Insanely, why not Mike Green? Someone who's going to stop the run for you. Going to be, remember this team, Chris, allowing 6-7 yard runs, but we forget about that all of a sudden, every single play. But we forget about that now because we need to bring the sexy, shiny toy for Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson. The Jets need someone who's going to create pressures regularly on the outside. Someone who's going to be able to stop the run. This Jets edge room is criminally overrated the way people are looking at it right now.
It's not even the sexy shiny toy. It's just that we know how important offense is. You say it yourself. You say offensive-minded head coach. How about you just bring in the best premium offensive weapons to the draft, the guys with the most potential. You select them with that's the most important need we have. That's the one that we need to address the most. So that's why you take them as early as possible and you get the best possible players that you can be day one starters for you. I don't want to take guys in the 3rd round that you're unsure about. I want to get the position that we need almost surefire talents is pass catcher, tight end, and wide receiver. That's where we need to take them as soon as possible to give Tanner Engstrand players that he can make his scheme around and Justin Fields guys to get the ball to, because we can't just have Garrett Wilson. It's impossible. You can't run an offense that way.
Joe Grano coming in with the comment of the day. You can get a starting tight end in round 4. I like Tyler Warren because I think he's more than a tight end. I'm just not as high on him as Chris. And you talk about all these tight ends needing to develop, Chris. Like, who's a productive tight end who was drafted in round 1?
Who's a productive tight end that was drafted in round 1? I don't have the list in front of me. I couldn't name you one, but all the stuff Warren has and all the things that he needs to be coached on. For example, his blocking technique is a critique you can make on him. But it's important to remember that our tight end coach was a former O-line coach. So I mean, he can help sure that's a perfect match. It fits like a puzzle to help him shore up his blocking. And Tyler Warren is a significantly better blocker than any of the other guys like Colston Loveland. I know guys in the later round, but
no, I think him and Loveland are pretty much neck and neck as a blocker. I really do.
For run blocking?
Yes.
I mean, if you say so, but just Warren brings so much to the table. I don't think if you're going to stay at 7, just get Warren. He's the guy who can come in and make the biggest impact immediately and be one of the top tight ends in the league. There's really no reason to give up on that. So that's where I'm at. And then just pass catchers, pass catchers, pass catchers, pass catchers all day.
Our guy Jake Asman comes in with his 3-month member super chat. See you both at the draft party. Lunchables for all. Jake, appreciate you tuning in.
Can't wait for the
Appreciate
draft
the
party, man.
appreciate the member super chat. Yeah, Chris and I both can't wait for the Jack will be there too. We'll all be there. All meeting for the first time, which will be exciting. And then Jake, I'll
Right?
see you for the first time. We'll meet for the first time when in America. We've met in London. We have not met in America. So super happy to super happy to tag along for the draft party. Really looking forward to that. That should definitely be a blast. Where were we in the chat here? Joe comes in. He says Carter, Graham, Membu, Warren trade down or target Simmons or Harmon. Abdul Carter's my dream, Chris. It's just not happening.
I only spot one pass catcher in there, so
Oh
Tyler
my
Warren, baby.
god. Christopher, Josh Simmons, etc. If not, then Ozzie Trapillo. Do you want to, how do you want to address that right tackle void? That's kind of what I want to talk, because we've been talking about pass catchers a lot. I know you don't want to go right tackle in the first. Do you want to even. You got me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Oh, yeah, I bugged out for a second there. Where do you want to address right tackle is my question for you. What round?
So this is my scenario, right? So you take Warren at 7, right? Depending on who's there or what you want to do, you can grab tight end in the second, or you can dress O-line in the second. But a guy like Amante Ursary is a guy that you could take.
Ariante Ursary.
Yeah, Ariante. My bad on that mispronunciation there. And I'm not my knowledge it gets a little shaky after first round talents, but taking anywhere outside the first round, because I think first round is dedicated to weapons. But after that, anytime after there, you can go and you can grab your right tackle. But the thing is, if you take Warren, right tackle becomes a little bit less of a need, because then Warren is there to help out your right tackle on the right side. He can help chip and get open on a seam route. So if you draft Warren, you can really wait on tackling. Take a wide receiver in the second, then get your tackle in the third, because then you come away with 3 offensive pieces. I think that's the dream scenario, and they all can start. And you just get your young core and you keep on building, because then even if the Justin Fields experiment fails, you're building your team the right way, and then next year you get your franchise quarterback and he walks into an offense with a bunch of talents, and really that's the scenario you want. So either if Justin Fields is the guy, then great, you build around him, you get it going with him. But if not, you get your franchise quarterback and he's you keep on building the team up, and I think there's light at the end of the tunnel, Jets fans. I mean it's looking maybe not this year and maybe not next year, but the future, in my opinion, looks good.
Chris, this is what I'll say. My dream scenario in the first 3 rounds of the draft looks like this: Tyler Warren in the first. I think that's the best available option. Tyler Warren in the first round, Ariante Ursary or Josh Connerly in the second round. Shore up that right tackle need. Alfred Collins in the third round. Pass catcher who can block.
Yep.
But needs technique refinement. Starting right tackle, run stuffing defensive tackle. 3 biggest needs shored up in the first 3 rounds. That's a dream.
I get that. My only concern at that point would be taking wide receiver in the 4th.
You take a wide receiver, yeah, in the 4th. But again, Trey Harris maybe in the 3rd. I guess that's why my dream is like a trade down. Because then you can address 4 of those needs.
I get that.
You can get Loveland in the first round, which is your tight end who can help block for you. You can get your right tackle still in the second round with your second round pick in Ursary, Connerly, whoever. You can get the run stuffer in Alfred Collins, and you can also add a Trey Harris type guy. 4 picks in the top 85. That's like a dream. That's a dream. You address your 4 biggest needs.
You don't have to convince me. I get it.
And then I was just getting fiery there for a second. 1,000%. I just think that's the best route. 1,000,000,000,000%. Our guy Jake Asman comes in with 5 gifted memberships. Jake, thank you so much for all your support. Clancy, Jojo, Jay, Bino, Meadowland, Swamp Thing all got gifted from Jake. Jake, 5 more raffle entries. Appreciate all of your support as always. And then, of course, for tonight's show, I got to go back in and match that. So, boom, I just dropped 5. Jake, appreciate all your support as always, guys. Super Chats, memberships really do go a long way here on this channel, so I appreciate your support. As always, like I said, any questions, throw them in the chat. You guys can call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat if you want to get on here and talk all things New York Jets, but certainly keep the questions coming. Appreciate your support. As always, where Where were we in the chat here? Rover comes in, says trading for Michael Mayer allows you to take a tight end in the third.
We don't really know what Michael Mayer is as a prospect. Obviously, he got buried in that Raiders room as soon as they took Brock Bowers, and he immediately shined, whatever, however you say that word in that sense.
Found
But
success.
yeah, he had to, he didn't have had the chance. But he's interesting depending on what you have to give up for him, depending on what pick. But I'd rather just take a tight end deep in this deep tight end class. You don't really need to give up picks when this tight end class is super deep, especially if you're going to go Warren at 7. So taking Mike Mayer trading for him if you're going to trade back with the Steelers would be an option because we do need depth in this tight end room. Obviously, we know Jeremy Ruckert isn't going to be isn't going to turn into a high end starter anytime soon in this league. So
just never. It doesn't even have to be anytime soon. Just never. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I'm iffy on this. It's a deep tight end class, but depending on how they approach this draft, it could be an option. But I don't see why everyone's getting so crazy about this.
Our guy Bino comes in with a $5 super chat. Appreciate your support as always.
Appreciate you, brother.
Some love. Good work, boys. Bino, appreciate your support as always. That's 2 memberships, so I'll drop those in the chat. Appreciate you as always, guys. Like I said, super chats, memberships really do go a long way to contributing to the show, so they mean a lot to both Chris and I, Next Gen Jets, NY Flight Jets, talk the whole 9 yards. So appreciate you as always. What I have to say there about Michael Mayer is pretty much verbatim of what you said. The fact that we just don't know what he is. So I consider Michael Mayer like a 6th round pick. I would treat him like a 6th or 7th round pick in this year's draft. We don't know what he is. I think you have more of an idea of what you're getting with a guy like Tyler Warren in the 1st round than you do trading for Michael Mayer, who's 23 years old. He has the upside. We just haven't seen anything out of him. That is the massive concern. So that's where I am on Michael Mayer. I think trading Michael Mayer does not deter you by any means of taking a tight end in one of the earlier rounds, nor should it. Dino, no. Here, we'll go to Christopher then. Dino. Christopher says at 42, get Jaden Higgins, Tyleek Williams, etc. I'm okay with either one. Tyleek Williams, 331 pounds, going to shore up that gaping hole in the middle, and Jaden Higgins is a pass catcher. So I'm okay with either one of those guys.
I agree verbatim. Tyleek Williams. My favorite word. But Tyleek Williams is a guy's gonna be next to Quinn Williams and Phillip and help in the run game. And Jaden Higgins, pass catcher. So I love both of them.
Chris, we have a question that's coming in live here over the texting chain. Oh, I got our guy Josh Wolliver wants to know, Chris, how is the Nico jersey going after you made it abundantly clear that you were ordering a Tennessee Volunteers Nico I Am a Leave It jersey?
So depending on where it goes, Tennessee jerseys aren't even that nice anyway. So I'm actually.
Oh my God! Here we go. Tennessee was the greatest college ever.
So I can add a nice jersey to my collection depending on whether it be Notre Dame, OSU, wherever you choose to go. I'm there with them. I'm
BYU like Zach Wilson, and then he could turn into Zach.
Yeah, I call this. I was talking to my dad earlier today. I was talking to my grandfather, not my dad. So I was talking to my grandfather, and I said, if Nico goes to BYU, all these Jet fans are gonna be like, oh, we can't take another BYU quarterback. We took Zach Wilson. People are too paranoid. People are just too paranoid nowadays. Need to get over it.
Paranoid. All right. Dino comes in, says, I love the tight end from Miami, Arroyo. The injuries concern me. The 1 season of solid production. That's it. 3rd round if he falls, maybe. I would rather. I don't want to take him in the 2nd for sure.
Yeah, there's plenty of other tight ends. Again, if we go Warren at 7, then we go the guy who's a sole blocker very late in the draft. I think his name is. Yeah, there we go.
Or Conyers, yeah, one of the two.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at addressing the tight end room in the draft.
Christopher says trade up from 42 to the end of the 1st round, Connerly Jr. after Warren at 7. At Warren at 7, possibly Warren, Connerly Jr. 1st round, 2 picks. That's a dream. Shore up first 2 holes.
Amen.
Matthew comes in, says, why the fuck would Nico go to BYU? He's a top college quarterback. Miami would be in the market as well. Well, Matthew, Miami found their quarterback, and his name is Carson Beck, and he will be the quarterback 1 in next year's draft class. So they do not need
not the quarterback 1. That's
they do not need a quarterback this season, Matt. So BYU is a sleeper because they do have a lot of NIL money to spend, and they've been spending NIL money like crazy throughout basketball, football. So that's why BYU. That's why he's going to go to BYU, and it's a sleeper team. Jack says get Harris in the 3rd. I don't think Harris is going to be there in the 3rd.
Jack, we know you're in love with Harris, but I mean, he's a pass catcher, so I mean, yeah, and he's pretty good. You played with Jackson Dart, elevating him, making him do well. So, yeah, if they God forbid take Dart at 7, at least get him some chemistry. But that's a joke. But we cannot
Yeah.
take Dart. Yeah, throw up. But so we cannot take Dart. I mean, I'd be all for getting Harris in the third. If we go Warren, then a right tackle in the second, then we get Harris in the third. That's a dream scenario.
He's not going to be there in the third. That's the problem. He's really elevated his stock to be that, like, kind of that middle of the road area where it's like he's 42 is rich for him. I'd say he's picked in that like 55 to 63 range. End of this, like middle to end of the second round. I think that's where Trey Harris is going to go. Christopher says draft wide receivers like Thornton Jr., Kyle Williams, Ty Felton, Horton, Nash, Tesla, Andrew Armstrong, Jaden Higgins, Jack Besh, Harris. One of them, if not two, etc., into draft bodies for a wide receiver core. Like you just got to get people bodies in the building. Like someone who's going to come in and produce for you any day of the week. I would trade Alan Lazard if you can get a 6th round pick and turn that into Ty Felton. You just got to get guys who are going to come in and produce for you.
Yeah, I agree 100%. When you get the Steelers 6th or 7th, when Rodgers goes there and you're trading Alan Lazard, we can flip that pick for a receiver and just I keep on adding bodies, which is exactly what we need. We need, and there's going to be guys with a good coaching staff we have now, guys who shine in camp and guys that Glenn and Muji like and are going to elevate them. But we just need bodies to keep on giving people a chance to come in and produce.
Where were we in the chat? Let's see. Jimmy says, who else doesn't show up to practice? Mr. MVP, Aaron Rodgers.
All right,
Chris loves the guys who don't show up to practice.
People put too much emphasis on this for Rodgers. He came to all the practices leading up, and this one practice, people get way too obsessed. Just like everyone gets obsessed with him going to the McAfee show. Everyone needs to let Rodgers breathe. I don't know.
Why did he need to schedule the trip for the 2 days the Jets had mandatory minicamp before a 2-month break?
I don't know. I'm not Aaron Rodgers, but it's over. We don't need to be talking about Rodgers anymore.
And it was an unmitigated disaster. It's over, and it was an unmitigated disaster.
That's not all his fault. You can't say that's all on Rodgers. But
it's nearly half of his fault.
It's over. We all would have wished it. We all wanted to work out. We're all heartbroken, but it's over now. And we're gonna watch him produce for the Steelers. So we just wait and see.
He's not even gonna play football next season. This is crazy. He's gonna be sitting on his ass until freaking May 30th when he's like, "Yeah, Mike Tomlin, training camp. We have to report in less than 2 months, but I'm ready to play football." Mike Tomlin's like, I don't care. I'm winning 9 games and getting eliminated in the first round with Jackson. The funniest thing, Chris, would be if Aaron Rodgers went to Pittsburgh and broke Mike Tomlin's winning streak. I think there's a chance that could have potentially happened.
See, you have to admit you are a Rodgers hater.
How am I a Rodgers hater?
Because you always throw all these jabs at him, just like you in the media.
How is that a jab? How is that a jab rather than the first
I'm not even mentioning just now. It's all the other things you do. Rodgers is arguably
give me one example.
Arguably the best passer of the football of all time. I'm not saying the best quarterback. He's arguably the best passer of the football of all time. So what if he wants attention in the offseason? So what if he waits till the last minute?
Because he's a bottom 10 quarterback at this point in his career. That's why. He was great. You know who else was? You know who was quarterback at a point in his career? Matt Ryan was.
If you sign Rodgers, you can be confident that he's going to convert third downs for you. He can throw the ball. Yet he might have. If a good old line and you can get him protected, he's going to produce passing wise. He might not be able to move as well as he used to, but
your team also won't be able to run the ball more than 3 times a game because he's going to have to audible out of every single play the stat pad with this guy.
Coaching, so I mean, I don't know.
No, it was not. No, it was not. I mean, the Jets' run game wasn't existent because Breece Hall couldn't find a hole the first 6 weeks of the season. But at the same time, Aaron Rodgers audibled out of every single.
Breece Hall had it down here, and our coaching was horrible. So let's look at our run game this year with better coaching and just a better offense overall.
Clancy says Ibuka. Unless it's in the second, I don't want Ibuka.
These boys with Garrett. I mean, I'm open to Ibuka in the second.
These boys with Garrett. Hello.
Yeah, he's like him and Garrett had that connection from college. Bring more chemistry into this locker room. We're building this the right way. I love Ibuka. If you can get him in the second, that's a win for us.
Jack says hopefully Golden's available at the time. Not sure though.
Golden available at what time?
This 2020 range. I don't want Golden. If I'm taking a receiver in the first round, it's Ted McMillan.
I mean, my scenario is, if Golden's there in the late first and they really love him, I think people wait. look way too far into Glenn putting emphasis on speed. I think
Yeah,
that's
he said one word, and it's like, oh my god, they're drafting Matthew Golden now.
exactly. It's crazy to be like, oh, we're not drafting Ted McMillan because Glenn mentioned speed. Like, oh, that's. I think that's looking way too far into it. If they want to draft Warren and they love one of these receivers and they think it's a necessity to get a wide receiver too, which it is, and they love one of these guys and they want to go back into the first round, I'm all for that. And you can get right tackle with like a third round pick, and then you have premium positions at wide receiver and tight end, and you're getting a solid right tackle that Warren's going to help out anyway. So I think that's a win-win. Then you address D tackle and whatever other positions like edge and safety on depth pieces on defense later, and you're chilling. You're going into the year. You have some guys, and if Fields doesn't work out, you're building your team the right way for your future franchise quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier or Nico Iamaleava.
My favorite thing, talking about overreacting to people's comments, was after the Jets hired Rick Spielman in a full-time role, and he did a podcast with CBS Sports. We had his podcast partner, Ryan Wilson, on the show. My favorite part was the week after that, like, digging up quotes from a podcast in November, or Rick Spielman at the Senior Bowl saying, Jackson Dart threw a nice spiral on this play. Oh my god, Rick Spielman said Jackson Dart threw a nice spiral at the Senior Bowl. Holy crap, the Jets are drafting him. Jackson Dart's the pick at number 7. It's just like at that time of year where people are just hunting for newsworthy.
Exactly. You know how much I love the media. They're always so desperate for something new to write about, so they're going to look into every little thing people say. I mean, it's just this is exactly why they need to have an outhouse right by the facility, so we can make sure the media doesn't interfere with the football operations, like my boy Fireman Ed says. So just make that happen, Woody, please.
Jimmy says, I don't want Golden because I don't want Chris calling him Golden Tate.
Yeah, remembers that one time where my mind just. Well,
you said it again today. You said
no,
it again today. Yeah, you did. Hey, this happens to me all the time. I called Chimuka Okorafor like 20 different names through the first week. I called Olu Fashanu like a different name each time I referenced him last year. Happens all. I remember it was Adrian Martinez during preseason. I called him Steven Martinez for like the first 2 months. I kept calling him Steven Martinez. I thought that was his name. I don't know what it was. I thought his name was Steven Martinez. So I was calling him that for like a month until I looked up and I was like, holy crap, his name's Adrian Martinez. I was saying Steven Martinez for the past month and a half. And by then they were in the third quarter of the final preseason game. So it's like, he's not making the roster anyways. It all goes to waste.
I saw one Instagram reel with like a Golden Tate edit, and now it's like stuck in my head whenever we mention this Golden guy in the draft. So
let's see where we're at. Guys, keep the questions coming. Pin, comment, and call in. Super chats, memberships go a long way. Get your raffle entry. Smash the like, hit subscribe though. Make sure you guys do that. That's because that is completely free. Christopher says Deani Walker, Jamari Caldwell, Josh Farmer, etc. If not Harmon, Grant, Williams, Alexander. I think the biggest thing, Chris, when it comes to addressing this need on the inside, you got to get a big guy who's going to stop the run. I don't want someone who's I want someone who's over 320 pounds to play next to a guy like Quinnen Williams.
For sure, man. We know our run game defense was shaky, so we need a guy, a defensive tackle who's big and who's just going to make sure fill that gap and make sure that teams don't run for crazy amounts on us. Yeah, like we saw the Cardinals do. So it's just we need that's a need too. But again, we have too many needs on offense. So I mean, if we can find a quality guy like that in the third or fourth, that's perfect.
And Vellet, JJ, and Will are tremendous edge players. Will McDonald had one of the most overrated seasons we've seen in Jets history for an edge rusher last season. Someone who couldn't stop the run, only played third down for you and got double-digit sacks on blitzes. And JJ, we don't know how he's going to recover coming back from an Achilles injury. So there's my stance.
And Willett, I agree with you 100%. I think when we're drafting edge in this draft, it's mostly for depth because we have offensive needs. So I mean, I think we put confidence in both of these guys. We do have to grab some depth maybe in post-draft free agency and in the draft, but we have other needs. I'm confident in JJ. We see him already running in this full power now. We're getting back into the groove of things, working out. And Will, he's still developing. I mean, people forget that was only his I think second season last year. Or
who, JJ?
No, Will McDonald. That was his.
Yeah. I think you said JJ because again, both of them. They're developing. That's the thing. You mentioned it. You say it yourself. They're developing. We don't know what they're going to develop into. Behind them, Rashad Weaver, Eric Watts, Braden McGregor. You need to draft someone on the edge.
You do need to get depth. But I wouldn't put edge as above any offensive need that we have.
It depends which
But,
round.
but the thing is, drafting Abdul Carter, like we have two good edges already. Like so you're gonna drown out JJ or Will McDonald and you're gonna draft Abdul Carter. Like it's not a need.
Christopher says, should we sign Zadarius Smith in free agency for edge and possibly draft either Princely, JT, Azaraku, Landon Jackson, Tyler Barrett, or Kyle Kennard? Zadarius Smith, like, why not sign him? Knows what this scheme is like. Played under Aaron Glenn. He's a veteran. He's gonna get you double-digit sacks. I would 1,000% be on board with signing Zadarius Smith. He's also not gonna cost you the house.
Christopher spitballing all these names here, all these draft guys. He comes up with 10 in every message. Knows what he's talking about here. But yeah, Zadarius Smith is definitely a guy who's good for depth and good for your rotation. But I'm not sure who we're gonna start him over. I think
who are you gonna start him over?
Yeah,
both Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson.
Nah, I think they're
Why
both.
not?
They're on both edges, and if we sign Darius Smith, it's just for depth and just for your rotation, because those are your two young guys. That's how your defense is built around two pass rushers.
Who are unproven. How are they proven? Explain, please.
I'm not saying they're proven. I'm saying
you shook your head when I said
unproven. They're good players.
You shook your head when I said they're not proven. So explain to me why what has shown you they are legit blue chip starting caliber players over someone who's a 3-time first team All Pro who is going to get you 10 sacks a season. Please explain.
So Zadarius Smith is 34 first off. So that's not even what my first point was going to be. That was just a thought. But JJ had a really solid rookie season, and we were expecting him to take a massive leap, and then he got hurt. So yes, it's what is he going to be coming off the injury? I get that logic, but like still, he's had since week 2 to recover. I know the Achilles is super important.
Aaron Rodgers had since week 1 of an entire season to recover.
Aaron Rodgers is also a bit older, on the older side. So I don't know why I need to bring up Rodgers there, but JJ, who's expected to take a big leap, he had since week 1 to recover. His recovery is going great. Will McDonald is still developing, still learning technique. He has great defensive coaches with him now, and he's becoming a guy. Maybe putting on weight this offseason. I'm not Will McDonald. So if you get Zadarius Smith, I think it's for rotational purposes and for depth. I don't think you're gonna start him over JJ or Will McDonald.
Why would he be for? Okay, Jermaine Johnson has not shown he's going to recover from an Achilles injury. That's step 1. Jermaine Johnson.
He does, he's starting. If he does, though, he's starting.
How to define recover though? 10 sacks.
10 sacks is a good season from an edge.
Oh no! It's a good season from an edge, 1,000%. But I'm saying that what is recovering for you? What do you view recovering?
What do you view recovering? Like he can
coming in and getting you 5 sacks in the first 3 weeks. That's recovering. Coming in and showing he's a blue chip edge rusher.
5 sacks in the first 3 weeks is like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like almost elite level.
What? Exactly, but that's what you're describing Jermaine Johnson as.
I'm not saying he has to be elite. I mean, he could be an average to a slightly above average edge, and he's still developing too.
And Zadarius Smith is a far above average defensive end. So boom, therefore he would get the starting job.
But he's old.
So I'm not saying sign him to a 5-year contract.
Yeah, but I'm saying
he's old. Here's the thing: you say he's old. He's old, but he had 11 sacks last season.
Yeah, but listen, why are we starting him over a guy who's young? We want him to keep on developing and keep on getting reps, even if he's not 100%. Fine, but you still want him to keep.
Because you put the best players on the field who give you the best chance to win football games. That's why.
No, but we want him to develop.
So you're saying you would intentionally put? Okay, let me just confirm this quickly.
Well, we don't need.
I just want to. I want to make sure I'm hearing the same thing.
You have to listen for a second.
You got your turn. You got your turn.
I wouldn't sign Zadarius Smith because
you got your turn. You got your turn. Let me clarify what you were saying here.
Wait, hold 1 second, please.
Let me clarify what you were saying here. You got your turn to talk. Let me get mine. So you're saying that let me just clarify here. Names out of the equation, like you just said. You would put someone who is a worse football player on the field in because they are younger than someone who gives you the best chance.
It's not even a lot worse.
Is that what I hear?
Is that
what I'm hearing?
That's worse.
What'd you say?
It's not like JJ is a horrible player. You're just concerned about how well he's going to recover. But if he comes in and he shows, like, if anything, God forbid, what I was gonna say real quick is that if I wouldn't want to sign Darius Smith, because if we're signing depth, I don't want to sign someone who we're gonna have to pay like that much even on a 1-year deal, because I don't want to sign someone who
he wouldn't cost that much.
But why? Since he had like 11 sacks, you said he's this guy.
Because he's 34 years old. He was cut because he was a cap casualty.
But I think you're underrating JJ and Will. I get JJ.
How am I underrating them?
I get it. You're unsure about JJ coming off the injury, but Will McDonald is still developing. And if you want to come in and just be a sole pass rusher, then yeah, you might need to get more players who can come in and be consistent basis, and you throw Will McDonald in. But I think he's developing into someone who will eventually be able to do it all. And JJ, the only concern with him is coming off the Achilles injury. We've seen JJ get big plays, be able to get sacks and
will he be able to do that though?
Generate pressure. So yeah, you're not sure, but you'll see him in camp. You'll see how he looks in camp, and you'll evaluate if he's having a if he's.
So you're telling me to evaluate a pass rusher when you can't sack quarterbacks in training camp?
You could see him come off the line.
So you're telling me I should make my evaluation on how Jermaine Johnson's recovering based on his performance in training camp when you're not able to sack a quarterback?
You could see how he goes against O-linemen though. But
I can see how he goes against Carter Warren, and that's how I make my evaluation.
Listen, here's.
Why are there thumbs that just went up? What was I put my thumb up and it goes up.
Here's where I'm at with Zadarius Smith. I know we went down this whole deep rabbit hole. I think we are. I think yes, JJ. We are we are unsure about. I think we are unsure about JJ, and we might not love how Will McDonald's not an all-around player yet, even though he can develop into that. I wouldn't want Zadarius Smith to come in and start over either of those guys. If JJ is coming off and he's having a slow start, and we want to give him more time to recover, and we need a guy who can come in and be solid. Yes, we will sign someone who can do that. Like when we recognize this, but for now, I'm going to give JJ has had plenty of time to recover. So why can't he come in and come back to being himself and take that next step into developing to a guy like we saw Aiden Hutchinson develop? This is what we're thinking for JJ, depending on how he comes off the Achilles.
Depending on how he comes off the Achilles, folks. That's the biggest question mark.
So like all things, we will see. We'll see about everything. We'll see about Fields. We'll see about how his coaching looks.
That's Chris's favorite word. We'll see.
But it's true. What do you mean? What do you mean it's my favorite? Like, it's true. You have to wait to see. You can't make these evaluations. Like, for example, Membu. You can't. His draft stock is rising when no football is being played. That's how you have to avoid these guys. You have to see. You're
talking about Justin Fields being the next great thing when he has not shown he's a consistent starter in this league.
I'm not saying he's the next great thing. I said people are saying, oh, he's just a 1 year thing. He's just a 1 year thing. He's just a bridge guy, so you can take your quarterback in 2026. I said, beware. He might be more than that. He could come in and surprise people.
Who knows? That's
exactly.
We'll see. And there goes his Wi-Fi again. Chris Grasso.
Nah, I'm back.
Oh, there we go. Finally.
I'm back.
There we go. Chris is back. So we appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Get your questions in the chat. Call into the show. Pin comments. Super chats and memberships go a long way. Appreciate all your support. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Want to hang out with Chris and I at the draft party? We'll be at the Jake Asman event in New York City, so looking forward to that for sure. Let's go over to the phone lines, though. We got our guy Beast, who's on the line.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Grand Jury. And I'm also watching the great 1988 movie called I hope. Do you all remember The Naked Gun?
What'd you say, Beast?
Do you all remember the movie The Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen in it?
No.
Don't recall, Beast. Don't recall.
No, you've never heard of it? Oh, no, my.
Beast, you gotta know we're young.
It's a good comedy movie. Very, very funny and very surprising. But these draft picks I'm hearing, I'm going, just scratching my head going, what are you guys trying to come up with next? These calls they're okay, but where do we go from here? It's called, I still say we're taking Membu and Warren, and we're going to need beefy dudes. We need guys with an attitude. I mean, come on, the 98 is scary enough to take an eye out. I mean, come on, we got wishy-washy guys that can't even put their pants on straight. They put it on backwards. Same with underwear. They put it on backwards. It's called boys. get your head out of the toilet, get your pants on straight, because when come time to go to war, you get your ass on the battlefield and you fight to survive.
Hell yeah.
That's the new T-shirt that they should be making. It should have the New York Jet logo in the center, in the front, and in the back of the T-shirt. Fight to survive. It's perfect. It makes sense.
Amen.
Beast,
And
appreciate the
we
call.
need and question: do you guys want beefy dudes on the front line? I'm gonna give it a point. Do you want beefy dudes on the front line?
Chris wants pass catchers.
I think.
Are you serious?
I think we need to get I think priority should be wide receiver and tight end beast because we need guys for Justin Fields to throw to if we want to be successful. But after that, I think 100% we need beefy guys and to shore up the trenches too. That's a key.
The defensive line needs to be beefed up. The offensive line needs a little extra beefer in case we lose talent. And there's one more thing we need to focus on: a kicker. I cannot stand Greg Zuerlein. Do you know how many times he dogged the thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 times.
Yep,
He had opportunity to hit or go for the win, and what did he do? Doink, doink, doink. Oh my god! That was like it was like saying, what? Who brought this moron here? And this guy can't even hit a field goal? Are you serious? That's sad. It was like this is why I want to say, turn the game off. Turn it off. I'm not watching it if Greg Zuerlein's on the field because I can't stand that bum. He is a bum. I've seen better kickers in my heyday. I'll give you an example. Mike Vanderjagt, great guy. John Hall, great guy. Can't take nothing away from him. Pat Leahy, who was also a former Jet, can't take nothing away from him. Oh, man. There's so many guys I can think of, but these were men with a leg. What do we have? What do we have for a leg? This nothing happening. Egg sucking low life bum. Come on. I mean, you guys could probably kick a field goal way better than Zuerlein.
100%. And Beast, we appreciate the call here on the show and coming in with the Greg Zuerlein point. I mean, Chris, I want to kind of get your thoughts now. You want the Jets to draft a kicker? Do you want them to go the route in free agency? My thought process is I want to bring in like 5 guys this summer and literally just have them all compete. Like, that's the goal. Bring in 5 guys, 2 free agents, 3 guys in undrafted free agency, and have them battle it out. Chris Cross's Wi-Fi. You got you?
I'm away from home. You notice the background. I'm at my abuela's house. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi's a little shaky. I'm away from home. I'm at my abuela's house here in North Jersey, so Wi-Fi's a little shaky. But yeah, you bring in as much kickers as possible. You try them all out because really, we need to find a guy who's a consistent kicker. Maybe whether it's destroying from the UFL or we just draft the guy, sign some free agents, a guy with potential. So anyone who can kick, please just open tryouts, baby. Welcome to Florham Park.
Everyone, appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like and subscribe. Connor and Chris here with you on Next Gen Jets. Last chance to get your questions, comments, thoughts in here before we wrap up. Back tomorrow. I'll set it up right after this show. 10 a.m. with Joe Blewett. Going to be talking Jets draft. Going to be doing some film stuff, so really looking forward to that. And then 7 p.m., Chris, Jack, and I all on here for the original Next Gen Jets show, so we appreciate you guys always. Stay tuned for that. And we're going to wrap things up here. So, Chris, appreciate another episode in the books, another great episode. Super fun doing the show with you. Got any final thoughts here before we wrap things up?
No, 100%. So it's always great hopping on, talking Jets. And for sure. And I just think the Fields signing is a win-win for multiple reasons. If Fields works out, we have our franchise guy. If not, we pick from a stacked quarterback class with Nussmeier, and all these other great quarterbacks. But Nussmeier is probably number one if considering Nico's a 2027, if Nico's 2027 guy. So, I love the future, future we're going. There's light at the end of the tunnel. What may not be this year, may not be next year, but soon. So the pain and suffering is almost over.
There we go. Pain and suffering almost over, ladies and gentlemen. That is the goal. Hopefully this team will be able to see our first playoff game, Chris. Winning season, anything. just some improvement from what happened last season. I just hope this team's fun to watch. That's
100%.
my main goal.
Just a fun season because in the past 2 years, there's been pressure on this team to win and improve, make the Super Bowl. Was the expectation with Rodgers. This year, there's not a lot of expectations. If anything, we're underdog. We have the people saying we're getting 4 wins. That's crazy. I can't wait to take the over on that. Easiest bet of my life. But can't really bet yet. But if I would, that's such an easy bet. But
that's what people said when the Jets over/under win total was 9.5 last year.
Listen,
ladies and gentlemen, the house always wins. The house always wins.
Nah. See, I'm not with you on that one for the Jets win total. But the thing is, even if we're not good this year, I mean, it's annoying to see them be bad. It's obviously going to pay me as a diehard fan. Who lets the team affect my emotions every week? Like if the Jets literally determine all of it. If we take a defensive end, I'm going to be so mad because we need pass catchers so bad. But that's besides the point. I'm straying from what I'm trying to get at here. And so if they're going out there and they're the Fields experiment doesn't work. I mean, yeah, I wasted $120, but besides that, we draft our quarterback in 2026 and we have our franchise guy and we're building it the right way with the good coaching staff moving forward. So either way, this team, there's a chance, man. There's a chance.
Chris, you're going to be burning that Fields jersey if it goes up in flames.
I would, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So I think what's gonna end up happening is the route that we would end up drafting a quarterback and getting out of the Fields deal is for mediocre because I can't see this team being bad. If this team
give me a 2022 season, any day of the week.
If this team sucks and we go 4-13, immediately I'm concerned with Glenn as a coach because. If
Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback of the 2022 team, that team's going to the playoffs. If this past Jets team had 2022 coaching, they would have probably gone 8-9 rather 5-11, which is a large swing because the Aaron Rodgers quarterback play was still incompetent. Defense could have cleaned up a little bit, but I think you win 8 games with 2022's coaching.
Yeah, just give me improvement. But if we suck, that I'm like. Glenn is almost in the hot seat because we have so much talent on this team.
No way. Not after year 1.
But that's where me and you differ because if Glenn goes out there and gives me a 4-win season with the talent we have on this team,
what talent?
I can't do this. What do you mean? What talent?
No. Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, Jamie Sherwood,
Jamin Sherwood, Quincy Williams. Our whole line.
Quincy Williams is 28 years old. Who's not going to get a second contract with this team?
All these players, man. If he goes 4-13, how good of a coach is he really? If we're not getting the maximum out of all his talent, this is what I said.
You're naming players who are good players at their positions, but they are not cornerstone players.
This is what I said during the hiring cycle. It doesn't matter to me if it's an offensive or defensive guy. Just someone who's going to come here, instill the culture, be a disciplinarian, and maximize the talent on this team. So that's what
you need someone who's going to out scheme your opponents, and that's why I wanted
Aaron Glenn can.
You didn't hire Aaron Glenn for his defensive acumen, though. You hired him for his lead. That's why Josh McCown was my number 1 option for the Jets.
Outside of Flores and Vrabel, I'm happy with Glenn. He's a leader of men. He's gonna come in here and be like what Dan Campbell is for his team. He's a guy who's gonna get his team fired up to play for him and his teammates each and every week. And you see what he did there. He instilled the culture. Now Detroit is a winning team. They're going to NFC Championship. So if that's what Aaron Glenn brings to the Jets, sign me up. Whether it's with Fields, Nussmeier, Yamaliva, just bring it to me. Just let us win.
Jimmy, I'll get Chris a new Titans jersey for 2026.
What do you mean?
When Aaron Rodgers sits on the couch this season and he plays with the Titans at 42, whatever, 50, 70 years old, however old he'll be in 2026. And
that's what I mean. You hate him. All the jabs at Rodgers, a 70-year-old.
Talking about how old he is and how he can't move and how he's a bottom 10. I mean, isn't that all truth, though?
Bottom 10 quarterback is not true.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You're going to look into all the advanced metrics on how much he passed and how much you say.
No, I'm going to watch every single drop back, and I'm going to show you that he couldn't move.
Because the Jets had no run game due to coaching. I mean, okay.
What tells you the Titans are going to have a run game or the Steelers?
What does that have to do with anything?
Because you just said Rodgers didn't have success with the Jets because there was no run game.
What does the Titans jersey have to do with anything, bro?
Because the 70-year-old signing with the Titans.
When?
2026, when he sits on the couch this season.
He's not going to retire this season. That's delusional.
No, he's going to be sitting on his couch waiting for a backup opportunity. That's what he's going to be doing.
No, that's
he's
hate.
going to be like Joe Flacco.
One of the Steelers and he's lighting it up. Just watch.
I'm clipping this when he breaks Mike Tomlin's winning streak.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
It is going to happen.
Metcalf with a solid O-line, with a almost elite defense. Oh, my God, bro. Oh, my God.
DK Metcalf, George Pickens, two maniacs. Like, okay. I mean, Rodgers, imagine the controversy that's going to be between those two. Because, let's say Alan Lazard goes there. Alan Lazard's going to be the Devontae Adams of the Jets with Rodgers. He's going to have to find his little boy to force feed him the ball, and Alan Lazard's going to have nearly a 20% drop rate. And George Pickens, rightfully so, will be throwing a hissy fit alongside DK Metcalf, who the Steelers just paid 5 years, $185 million for.
See, you deny being a Rodgers hater, and then you spew stuff like this.
Tell me which statement I made there was not true.
Just preying on his downfall.
How am I preying on his downfall? I'm making hypotheses of what has happened in the past. I'm making a hypothesis of what happened this past season.
So when I say Warren is a former player, I'm making a hypothesis.
We're not talking about Tyler Warren. We're not talking. No. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers. We're not talking about Tyler Warren. You said I'm a Rodgers hater based on what I just said. Explain to me what I just said there is false about Aaron Rodgers.
So take me back into that monologue.
Take me back. So you made a baseless claim with no evidence.
You're just a Rodgers hater.
How? Exactly. Okay, I'm a Rodgers hater. How?
Why are we talking about Rodgers? It doesn't matter.
You just said I am a Rodgers hater, so I'm asking you.
You take jabs at him. You take jabs.
Give me an example. Give me an example of a jab I took at him that is not true.
Calling him a bottom 10 quarterback must be personal. Come on.
Watch every single one of his dropbacks last season. Look at every defense. Look at every defense he's played. Analyze that. Look at his accuracy and look at his adjusted completion percentage. There it is.
Threw 28 touchdowns
on 548 pass attempts, and he didn't run the ball. That's why.
Because the
28 touchdowns. This is the funniest thing.
The passing was a broken part of his offense.
Chris, this is
the Jets had no running game due to poor coaching.
Due to Aaron Rodgers audibling out of plays. This is where 28 touchdowns came from. 3-yard line, halfback dive up the middle with Braylon Allen. Nope, let me audible, play action, RB flat. Let me hit get Devontae Adams in the back corner of the end zone. That's where 28 touchdowns came from. We got a last-second caller, though, our Chiefs fan, King Jamie the Mad. So we're going to go to him before we wrap up. King, how you doing?
Hey, guys.
How are you?
Let me see. Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, I've got like an echo on my end.
Are you watching the show on YouTube?
On my laptop on YouTube, yes.
Yeah.
Or no, I went straight to StreamYard.
Yeah, I was going to say cancel out YouTube because there's an echo.
Let me do this. Boom. There. Got it. Thanks,
go.
Connor. You're a genius, buddy. So, Chris, I want to talk to you a second, Chris. Connor's a genius. He likes stats, and he's really good at it, bro. Really good at it.
By now, bro.
Bro, check this out. You're like me. We live on emotions. We love our guys. We hope. We put a lot of hope into it. And Connor's like, hope? Hope's for sissies. We want facts.
I've spent the past 2 years of my life basing everything on hope, and look what happened. These past 2 years of my life, I was living off hope. Now I know what being disappointed feels like. So
you're
still young. You're still a kid. Keep that optimism.
You're older than me.
I'm still a kid, man. You know what? I think you're gonna find this out when you guys get up to my age. We're still just kids stuck in these old guy bodies, man. Like once we hit a certain spot in our life, we just kind of stay there. And I think I'm stuck about 17, but I'm in my 50s, right? But hey, Chris, you do a great job, bro. Keep up the hope. Keep up that love for your team, man. I love it. I know Connor's gonna just walk right over you and say all the facts, and facts drive us nuts when we love this much.
Thank you so much, man. And yeah, all I have in me is love for the Jets. You cut it open, I bleed green, man. So just I just want to see this team be good more than anything. won anything ever. And I'm always looking for the optimistic side of things. I'm always looking for
bro.
what happened to Fields earlier in his career. They failed him. They absolutely failed him.
Totally, bro. Totally. And I think you're right, though. Justin Fields looks like he might just fit in with this very well. And I got a lot of hope for the Jets, too. I have for years and years. My first pro game was a Jets versus Chiefs in Kansas City. You guys kicked our butts. And I was a kid, man. This is in, 84. Oops, sorry about my swearing. It was like 84 or something, I think. I don't remember what year, but I was a kid. And I was like always just watching you guys from then on. And boy, you've got the coaches now that can develop guys. I'm excited to see the Jets finally develop a quarterback. I want to see you take Milroe because I see a lot of similarities in his style with the same style of a quarterback you just picked up.
Chris, that's my comparison. Like the Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley situation in Baltimore. Like you need someone. Obviously, you can't even compare the caliber of player Lamar Jackson is to a Tyler Huntley type guy. But you need a similar guy with a skill set. Like I love Kyle McCord. You can't take Kyle McCord and have Justin Fields as your starter because there's two completely different offensive schemes there. Milroe. I mean, I know Chris loves Chris's favorite dream quarterback is an unproven athlete who has all the arm strength in the world.
You mean something like Mahomes? Really? He wants somebody that has the same kind of crap as Mahomes?
You want to know something?
How dare he?
You know something? I was the biggest Mahomes fan early in his career. But the thing is, I went to that one Chiefs-Jets game in 2023, I think. It was a primetime game. It was I think it was Sunday Night Football. And I watched that phantom pass interference call on the game-winning interception. And ever since then, I just had a grudge against the Chiefs, man. So
I was there that week, bro. I went to that Patriots game, too.
It was all red in that stadium that night, bro. There was barely any Jet fans. It was depressing.
That was the first game of the Taylor Swift era too. That was the first game of the Taylor Swift era where they showed her
and she was there and shit, ruining my night, bro. It's unbelievable.
How is some hot chick in the stands that's really rich ruining your night? like what? You know what, dude? When you get a girlfriend, I hope nobody ever says about her what people have said about Travis Kelce's girlfriend. Seriously,
yeah. I mean, Travis Kelce's been through so much.
He's up big, dude. You could talk all that crap about his girlfriend when he's not standing there, but I guarantee you that nobody will say a damn thing when he's standing there.
And when you say it to Jason Kelce's face,
yeah, exactly. Jason Kelce smashed the phone. That's crazy.
Oh, dude. Love Jason Kelce too. I like both those guys, man. They made Chiefs fans and Eagles fans friends. We even still got along after they beat the crap out of my team in a Super Bowl, But we got along after my team beat their team in a Super Bowl too.
Eagles fans are tough people to get along with, so I mean,
you know what? For real. But hey, you'll see one day when the Jets are champions. You'll see. I'm telling you, dude, the sun will shine. You'll see it one day when the Jets are champions. And I want you to think about this. Why not still just be cool with the other teams and stuff, right? I mean, there's no point in being a jerk if you're the one that's getting lucky enough to see the wins. 100%. So I guess, Eagles fans and Chiefs fans get along pretty good. Chiefs fans and Patriots fans get along pretty good. I had DTN on my stream a couple of nights ago, and I was like, DTN, that's a great dorm room, but you need a big Jets flag right behind you. He was like, what? That was the first real movement I got out of me. I thought he was going to come through my laptop screen and get me,
You do a show, King Jamie?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, on Thursday nights and Sunday nights.
Nice. I got to check that out.
It's open to everybody, bro. It's open to everybody, and I let anybody call in that wants to as well. And we talk friendly, fun football. We don't have any hate going on. We got every fan from every team, seriously. Somebody's stopping by. And we just hang out.
Okay.
The Thursday one's just an after work one when I get home. Sit around and talk football with the boys. We talk about what happened. We did a whole show on Lamar Jackson suing Dale Earnhardt Jr. to get that number 8. And sorry, but Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s grandpa wore that number. But just like I knew, Earnhardt was going to be like, nah, it's cool, man. We'll just use this other one. It doesn't matter. And I was like, hey, whoa, Lamar, the franchise that is Lamar Jackson could have only benefited from making friends with Dale Jr. He's got like 3.5 million friends on Facebook alone. He's got like 10 times that on the TikToks and crap, right? What are you doing? I'll wear your cool looking number 8, Mr. Mr.
Yeah.
Earnhardt Jr. in one of my football games if you put mine on your car. You know, make mine the blue and black, put it on your car. Get our fans together. Collaboration makes money. You know?
Smart.
But he stepped on it, dude. He's suing Troy Aikman about the number 8.
Oh,
Lamar Jackson. He's litigating with Troy Aikman about the number 8.
this guy's a mess.
He's a mess, dude.
Wake me up when he brings a team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it.
I call up Chase Coburn, our friend who's a huge Ravens fan. You know, talk about Lamar Jackson. Such a bum.
You know
my
what, though?
thing with
Like,
Lamar is like it's all fun and games till you put him up against a legit team in the playoffs.
well, for sure, but if you want to look at it like this, he could have made such a great collaboration because he has been really close to a champion. Okay, and so had Dale Earnhardt Jr. Really close to being a champion, never quite won it. Okay, so they could have had a collaboration, get all them fans together, and you imagine the parties they would have. Like that would be some good fun because they both got great fan clubs and fan groups and everything.
Yeah.
They're both fairly likable guys. Just what the heck are you doing, Lamar? You know, I mean, why would you go
Yeah,
after
my whole
somebody
thing
that's
was-
wearing a number?
What's Lamar's record against the Chiefs? 1-4.
Yeah, we own him big
Yeah,
time,
He
dude.
can't beat a good team in the playoffs. That's the problem. Like you put him up against the Steelers, sure he'll dominate, but it's the
The
Steelers.
Bills waxed him last year, right?
Bills
Yeah,
whacked
they didn't even make it up to the play in the Chiefs last year. The Bills took him right down.
The thing is, like, they're gonna blame it on Mark Andrews. There's like you can have a very, very good regular season quarterback. I think that's what Lamar is. Like I think Lamar is nothing more than a solid regular season quarterback.
I do believe that Lamar's one of those that needs a great supporting cast to keep him there.
Lamar,
And then you've got quarterbacks like Tom Brady. He could use anybody. You know, Patrick obviously has to use anybody because the Chiefs won't spend the big money. You know,
Isaiah Pacheco, yeah, all these, yeah.
I mean, right? You got to just interchange everybody and be able to do it. And I don't think that can happen with Lamar.
My favorite part is they used like a 5th round pick on Pacheco, and he turned out to be the next great thing. Rather than what they used was it a 1st round pick on Edwards-Helaire?
Yeah, I think it was.
Well, no. So we've never gotten a high pick in the last 7 years. So all these guys that you're naming off, they were way down at the bottoms anyway, right? So everybody got the fresh fruit before we had to start picking through and finding which ones we could still basically coach into something, right? And Brett Veach is really good at it. This year we don't have to worry about that. We could just take whoever's available. That's
Who do
the
you
best.
want them to take?
Yeah, whoever. Oh, let's see. Who do I want them to take?
Yeah,
I want Tre'Veon Henderson.
he's.
I want to
so
bring in that running back.
I like Judkins more though, honestly. Like I think.
I mean, right, but we are the 31st pick out of 32.
Yeah.
So you
And
want running back for like depth because Pacheco he can gets hurt.
so Kareem Hunt is on a veteran deal right now. He's getting the veteran minimum, so he's being very team friendly. He just wants to stay a Chief, right? Isaiah, once he gets them wheels going, bro, he's sending that body pretty fast, and then he gets hit by guys going pretty fast. And so you got to have good running backs.
And
We've got great running back coaches, so I'm thinking if we could somehow steal Henderson, I think the Broncos might take him instead, though, but I don't know.
I think the
I
Broncos
don't
are
even
going to
know.
take Omarion Hampton from North Carolina.
Nice. I wouldn't
I
mind
think-
grabbing that tight end kid, the number 1 tight end. What's that?
Are you talking about Loveland from Michigan?
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he was Michigan. But yeah, he's like ranked number 1 at PFF or whatever it is. And I mean, we've got Noah Gray, and he's really great, and he's fun, and he's a good looking kid, and he's always seems to be there. And dude, you guys, to me, these are kids, okay? Every one of these guys that's coming out of the draft is younger than my son, okay?
I mean, Braylon Allen is 7 years older than me. Braylon Allen was 7 when I was born. Braylon Allen was 6 when Chris was born. Braylon Allen was 5 when our other co-host Jack was born.
Well, So I have another son that's 15 right now. So I guess, yeah, right. So you guys are all my kids' age. So when I see you guys doing these shows, I'm just like, nice. I know I'm the old head or whatever, but I didn't lose it, boys. I still remember how frustrating it was that girls didn't realize I was cool. Now, why don't
That's
they
a
get
problem
it?
Connor has.
But yeah,
Oh,
man. So Connor, I love you, bro. Thanks
I
for having me on your
appreciate
show.
it.
I'm gonna get out of here, Chris. Just keep that faith, man. Keep that love, bro.
Thank you, brother.
It'll happen.
Peace out.
What a great call. Our guy King Jamie the Mad, our Chiefs fan, kind enough to check in here on the show at the buzzer. King, you're the best. Can't thank you enough for all your support. We got to do a King battle, Chris. Lowski versus Jamie.
Oh, 100%, man. That'd be awesome.
100%. Appreciate you
Both
all
great guys.
tuning in. What?
Both great guys, King Lowski and King Jamie.
1000%. Back tomorrow, 10 a.m. EST. Joe Blewett, Jets film analyst for JetsXFactor.com. And at 7 p.m., Jack, Chris, and I are here. Chris, I feel like we were literally wrapping up the show over 20 minutes ago, but we got out of hand with the King. We got out of hand with Rogers' comments. Any final thoughts here before we actually wrap up the show?
You gave any final thoughts for Mark about 30 minutes ago.
Exactly.
So, I mean, just it's always a great time on the show. Time flies. It's just always a great time. So
Word.
yeah, I mean, it's not really any final thoughts. Just go Jets. So as always.
100%. Chris, appreciate you. Super, super fun doing this show with you. And we appreciate you all tuning in. Guys, please smash the like. Please hit subscribe. It's completely free. And it really does help us grow significantly here on the show. It goes a long way. Appreciate your support as always. That'll do it for us here on this Saturday evening. Hopefully everyone has a great rest of their night. He's Chris Grasso. I'm Connor Long. And we're saying that's all here on a Saturday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. JTS. Jets, baby. Peace.